Let me take you back to a night that changed everything. A night when a father lost everything and nearly lost what remained. A night when the most advanced medical facility in the city faced a problem it couldn't solve. But first, I want you to imagine this with me. It's 2 a.m. on an ordinary Tuesday morning. Most people are asleep, dreaming peacefully in their beds. But at Highland Medical Center, everything is about to change forever. The emergency room doors, those heavy, automatic doors that have seen thousands of tragedies and triumphs, suddenly crash open with force. And what comes through those doors will shake the entire hospital to its core. A woman lies on a stretcher, her beautiful designer dress soaked in blood. Her face is twisted in unbearable pain. Her body trembles with shock. And running alongside her, desperately trying to keep up, is a man in an expensive black suit. His name is Robert Ashford. You've probably seen his face before, on the covers of business magazines, in articles about technology billionaires, in headlines about the next big innovation. He's the kind of man used to controlling everything, used to having answers, used to getting what he wants. But tonight, Robert Ashford has no control. Tonight, he is just a terrified husband begging for help. "My wife," he screams, his voice breaking in a way it never has before. "Please save my wife. Please." The nurses in their blue and navy scrubs rush toward him. The machines start beeping. People are shouting. Everything is chaos and urgency and fear. Dr. Patricia Sullivan, a senior physician with years of experience, meets them at the emergency room entrance. She's calm, professional, trained for moments exactly like this. But even she can see the severity written all over the scene. "What happened?" she asks, already moving into action mode. Robert, running alongside the stretcher, gasps out the words between desperate breaths. "Car accident. A truck hit us. She's 8 months pregnant. Please, you have to save them both. You have to save my baby. 8 months pregnant. A severe car accident. A woman losing blood rapidly. The stakes couldn't be higher. The next hour is pure chaos. It's the kind of organized chaos that only happens in emergency rooms, where every second counts and every decision could mean life or death. Nurses move like they're dancing to a rhythm only they can hear. Monitors beep constantly, creating a symphony of urgency. Doctors shout orders. Equipment hums and whirs. IVs are inserted. Blood is typed and crossed. Surgery is prepared. And through all of this, Robert Ashford stands outside the operating room, watching through a small window as the people he loves most fight for their lives. His hands shake. His face is buried in his palms. He's a billionaire who could buy almost anything in this world. But right now, money means nothing. Power means nothing. His fortune is useless. He just waits. And waits. And waits. Then the doors open. Dr. Sullivan walks out. And one look at her face tells Robert everything he needs to know before she even says a word. "Mr. Ashford," she says gently, and those 2 words carry the weight of the world. "Your wife didn't make it. The impact was too severe. I'm so sorry." Those words. Those impossible, life-shattering words. Robert's body physically reacts like someone has punched him in the gut. He collapses against the wall, his back sliding down until he's sitting on the cold hospital floor. His whole body shakes. His voice comes out broken, barely a whisper. "No. No, 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 no." The word repeats over and over, as if saying it enough times might change reality. As if his denial could somehow rewrite what just happened. His wife is gone. The woman he loved, the woman he built his life with, the woman who was carrying their child, she is gone. But then Dr. Sullivan continues, and her next words offer a thin thread of hope in the darkness. "But we saved your son." Robert looks up, tears streaming down his face. "What?" "We had to do an emergency C-section," Dr. Sullivan explains. "He's alive. A son. He has a son." In the midst of losing everything, Robert has been given something. A reason to keep breathing. A reason to keep fighting. A piece of his wife that will live on. But then comes the hesitation in Dr. Sullivan's voice. The pause. The but. "But what?" Robert asks, already sensing that hope is fragile. "What do you mean, but?" Dr. Sullivan's expression grows serious. "Come with me." They walk through the hospital corridors, and Robert feels like he's walking through a dream or a nightmare. Nothing feels real. His legs move, but he barely feels them. They arrive at the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. This is where the tiniest, most vulnerable patients fight for their lives. Through the glass window, Robert sees his son for the first time. And his heart breaks all over again. The baby is impossibly small, barely 5 pounds. His skin is almost translucent, so fragile that Robert is afraid a gentle breeze might break him. Wires and tubes cover his tiny body, some monitoring his heartbeat, some delivering oxygen, some providing nutrition his body desperately needs. A blanket that looks oversized on him is wrapped around his small form. His lips have a bluish tint. His chest barely moves with each shallow breath. This is his son. This is the only piece of his wife he has left in the world. Dr. Sullivan's voice is serious, clinical, but still gentle. Your son has severe hypothermia. His body temperature dropped dangerously low during the accident. Your wife lost a lot of blood. Because of that, the baby didn't get enough oxygen or warmth before birth. When babies are born in trauma like this, their bodies can't regulate heat properly. It's like their internal thermostat gets broken. Robert stares at his son, unable to look away. We've had him in our warming incubator for 30 minutes now, Dr. Sullivan continues, but his temperature keeps dropping. We're losing him. The words hit like a physical blow. What do you mean losing him? What do you mean? Dr. Sullivan takes a breath. She's delivered bad news before, but it never gets easier. His body temperature should be 98.6 degrees. Right now, it's 93 degrees. And it's still falling. We've tried everything we know to try. Warming lights. Heated blankets. Warm intravenous fluids. Nothing is working. His little body just won't warm up. She pauses, and the pause says everything. If we can't raise his temperature in the next hour, I'm afraid. She doesn't finish the sentence. She doesn't need to. Robert's entire world shatters. Everything he's built, everything he's achieved, everything that made him feel powerful and in control, it all crumbles to dust in this moment. His wife is dead. His newborn son is dying. And there's nothing he can do about it. There has to be something, he says desperately. His voice rises. This is one of the best hospitals in the country. You have all this equipment, all these machines. You have everything. Do something. Another doctor steps forward, Dr. James Chun, dressed in surgical scrubs, his face grave. Mr. Ashford, we're doing everything that medical science allows. Sometimes, when babies are born in trauma this severe, their systems just shut down. We've called in our top specialists. We're trying everything we can. Dr. Isabella Rodriguez nods sadly. If his body won't respond to warming, I'm very sorry. And that's when Robert Ashford, a man who has never felt helpless in his entire life, falls to his knees right there in the hospital hallway. He doesn't care who sees him. He doesn't care about his image or his reputation. He sobs, loud, broken, desperate sounds that echo through the corridors. Please, God, please, he begs. Not my baby, too. Please. I just lost my wife. Please don't take my son. Please. The 4 doctors stand around him, silent and helpless. They have their degrees from the best universities. They have their experience and their training. They have machines that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They have protocols and procedures and all the knowledge that modern medicine can provide. But they are losing this baby. And in this moment, as Robert kneels on the cold floor of the hospital, as his son lies dying in a warming incubator that isn't warm enough, as hope seems to slip away with every passing second, a door opens. A voice says, "Excuse me." And everything is about to change. What will happen next? Will the doctor's protocols finally work? Or will someone unexpected offer hope when all seems lost? Stay with me, let's unravel this together. A young black woman stands in the doorway. She's wearing light blue scrubs with a white apron over her uniform. Her ID badge reads, Kesha Williams, RN. She looks to be in her late 20s, with kind eyes that seem to hold depths of experience far beyond her years. She shouldn't be here. Her shift ended hours ago. But something she can't quite explain, told her to come back to the hospital tonight. Dr. Sullivan looks up, surprised and slightly annoyed. Nurse Williams, what are you doing here? Your shift ended hours ago. You should be home. Kesha steps forward, her voice calm and steady. I heard about the emergency baby. I was about to go home, but something told me to come check on things. And I think, she pauses, looking at the monitors, at the tiny baby fighting for his life, at Robert still kneeling on the floor. I think I can help. Dr. Rodriguez actually laughs. But it's not a kind laugh. It's bitter, heavy with frustration and exhaustion. Nurse, we have 4 doctors here with over 100 years of combined experience. If we can't save this baby, what do you possibly think you can do? The hallway goes silent. It's the kind of silence that feels heavy, uncomfortable, filled with skepticism and doubt. But Kesha doesn't flinch. She doesn't look away. She doesn't seem offended or intimidated. Instead, she speaks with a certainty that's almost magnetic. "I know how to save him," she says quietly. Her voice is soft, but it carries conviction. It carries something the doctors' voices don't anymore: hope. Robert looks up from where he's kneeling. Through his tears, he sees this young woman standing there with such confidence, such certainty, when everything else has crumbled. "Excuse me?" Dr. Sullivan's eyebrows shoot up. "That's quite a claim, Nurse Williams." Kesha walks closer, her eyes finding Robert's. She kneels down slightly so she can look at him directly, eye to eye. "Sir, my name is Kesha Williams," she says gently. "I'm a NICU nurse here at this hospital. And I want to tell you my story. Because I think my story is the reason I'm supposed to be here tonight." Robert nods, desperate for anything, for any possibility of hope. Kesha takes a breath. "I grew up very poor. Really poor. The kind of poor where you don't know if you'll have enough to eat. The kind of poor where your mother works 2 jobs and you still can barely make rent. I worked 3 different jobs while going to nursing school at night. It took me 7 years to get my degree because I had to pay for it myself. Every penny I earned went toward tuition or living expenses." She pauses, remembering. "Last year, after I finally became a nurse and had saved up some money, I used all my savings, every single penny I'd managed to scrape together, to go on a medical mission trip to Uganda. I went because I wanted to help people who had nothing. People like I used to be. People who didn't have access to fancy hospitals or expensive equipment." Dr. Chin steps forward, his arms crossed. "This is inappropriate. Mr. Ashford, you shouldn't listen to." But Robert interrupts him. "Let her finish," he says firmly. "Please let her finish." Kesha continues, her eyes never leaving Robert's. "In Uganda, I worked in a village clinic. A clinic that had no electricity half the time. No fancy warming machines. No high-tech equipment. No teams of specialists. Just a midwife named Mama Akini who'd been delivering babies for 40 years in conditions we can barely imagine." She takes another breath, and her eyes become distant, remembering something profound. "And I watched that woman, a woman with no formal medical degree, no textbooks, no machines, save 3 babies. 3 babies with the exact same condition your son has right now. Babies that, by all conventional standards, should have died. Babies that modern medicine would have given up on." Dr. Sullivan shakes her head. "Nurse Williams, with all respect, anecdotal stories from village clinics don't override established medical protocols." But Robert stands up slowly. He looks at the 4 doctors with all their credentials and diplomas and experience. Then he looks at Kesha, this young woman who grew up with nothing, who worked 3 jobs to escape poverty, who spent her savings to help strangers on another continent. What did she know? Robert asks Kesha. His voice is desperate, but also determined. What did Mama Akini know that these doctors don't? Kesha takes a deep breath. This is the moment. This is why she came back. When a baby's body temperature drops this low and normal warming doesn't work, it means their body's thermostat is broken, she explains, speaking slowly so everyone can understand. It's like a computer that's frozen. You can try all you want to fix it while it's running, but nothing works. The system is too confused, too panicked. So sometimes you have to do something that seems crazy. You have to shut the computer down completely and restart it. Dr. Rodriguez steps forward, skeptical. That's not medical protocol. That's not in any textbook. No, Kesha agrees firmly. It's not in any textbook. And you know why? Because medical textbooks are written in rich countries with electricity and machines. Medical textbooks are written by people who've never had to figure out how to save a baby without technology. But Mama Akini didn't have textbooks. She had 40 years of experience. She had observation. She had knowledge passed down from generations of midwives before her. And she saved babies that doctors said were impossible to save. She looks directly at Robert now, speaking with absolute clarity. Your son's body is confused right now. You're trying to warm him, but his broken thermostat is actually fighting you. His body thinks the warmth is dangerous, so it shuts down more. It's a paradoxical reaction. But if we put him in a controlled cold environment, if we surround him with ice in a very specific way, his body stops fighting. The cold is uniform, so his brain stops panicking. And then when we remove him and start warming him gradually, very carefully, his thermostat resets. It's like turning a computer off and on again. The hallway is silent. The doctors exchange looks of doubt and concern. Dr. Chen speaks up. That goes against every principle of neonatal medicine. Hypothermic babies need warmth, not cold. In your world, yes, Kesha says, and there's no disrespect in her voice, only truth. In Mama Akini's world, sometimes the answer is counterintuitive. Sometimes the solution is the opposite of what you'd expect. That's what I learned in Uganda. That knowledge exists in places we don't always look for it. Robert stands silently for a moment. His wife is dead. His son is dying. The best doctors money can buy are telling him there's no hope. And now a young nurse, a woman with nothing to lose and everything to prove, is offering him a chance. Have you ever done this procedure yourself? He asks Kesha quietly. She meets his eyes honestly. No, sir. I've never done it myself. I only watched. But I watched carefully. I took detailed notes. I asked Mama Akini 100 questions because I had a feeling, a deep feeling, that someday, somewhere, this knowledge might save a life. And I think tonight is that night. Robert looks back through the glass at his tiny son. The baby's chest barely moves. His color is wrong. Every monitor shows a baby slipping away. Then he looks at Kesha. Do it, he says. Mr. Ashford, I strongly advise against this, Dr. Sullivan begins, her voice professional but concerned. This is highly irregular. This goes against established protocols. But Robert's voice comes out like thunder, with a strength that shakes the hallway. Do it, his voice echoes. Everyone stops and stares at him. My wife is dead, he says, his voice raw and powerful. My son is all I have left. These machines aren't working. Your protocols aren't working. Your degrees and your experience and your technology, they're all failing. This woman is offering hope when you're offering nothing but death. So let her try. Please. Dr. Sullivan looks like she's been slapped. For a moment, she doesn't move. Then slowly, she steps back. Get her what she needs, she says quietly to the staff. Kesha moves immediately, her voice becoming calm and professional, like she's done this 1,000 times. I need medical-grade ice from your organ storage. I need a large metal basin, stainless steel, about this size. She gestures with her hands. I need thermal blankets. I need warm intravenous fluids prepared at exactly 104 degrees. And I need a warming table preset to exactly 99 degrees, ready and waiting. A younger nurse named Dr. Kimball in navy scrubs jumps to help without hesitation. I'll get the ice right now, she says, already moving. Dr. Rodriguez mutters under his breath. This is madness. Complete madness. But he doesn't stop them. Nobody stops them. 5 minutes later, they're in the NICU room. The overhead lights are bright and clinical. The machines beep steadily. And in the center of everything, Kesha has set up a large metal basin. A bright yellow label on the front reads, I see. Inside, chunks of white ice fill the basin completely. Kesha takes a moment. She closes her eyes for just a second, as if saying a prayer or gathering her courage. Then she opens them and reaches toward the tiny baby. She lifts him gently, so gently, from the warming table where he's been struggling. He's so small, so fragile, so impossibly vulnerable. His lips are blue. His tiny chest barely moves with each shallow breath. He looks like he's already saying goodbye. Kesha cradles him, and her voice becomes tender, almost maternal. Hi, sweet baby, she whispers to him. I know you're tired. I know you want to be with your mama. I know this whole world feels too big and too scary and too painful. But your daddy needs you. Your daddy loves you so much. And we're going to do something that seems scary, but it's going to help you. Trust me, okay? Just trust me. Then, with hands that are perfectly steady, she positions the blanketed baby over the basin of ice. Not in it, never directly in the ice, but suspended just above it, supported by the edges of the basin. The ice surrounds him on all sides. The cold uniform. The environment controlled but intense. Now we wait exactly 3 minutes, Kesha says calmly. Her hand never leaves the baby's chest. Her fingers are monitoring everything, his breathing, his heartbeat, the rise and fall of his tiny ribs. His body needs to accept the cold environment, she explains, speaking as much to the doctors as to the baby. Stop fighting it. Reset. Those 3 minutes feel like 3 hours. The room is silent except for the steady beeping of the monitors. Robert stands frozen, watching his son suspended over ice. It looks wrong. It looks impossible. It looks like something that should kill a baby, not save him. But then something shifts. Dr. Kimball whispers in amazement. The drop stopped. His temperature, it's not falling anymore. The baby's temperature on the monitor reads 93 degrees. Still critically low, but stable. Not dropping. Not falling further into death. It's working, another nurse breathes. Kesha's eyes never leave the baby's face. She counts silently, monitoring every second. 30 seconds, she says aloud. Her voice is focused, present, completely in this moment. The cold air surrounds the tiny baby. His skin is pale, almost translucent. But something is changing. Something fundamental is shifting in his body's response. Dr. Chin moves closer, watching the monitors intently. His skepticism is transforming into something else, something like hope, or at least the possibility of hope. Now, Kesha says. She lifts the baby swiftly and places him on the warming table that's been preset to exactly 99 degrees. Not the regular 98.6, but slightly warmer than normal body temperature. Just slightly. Everything must be perfect. Dr. Kimball hands her warm 4 fluids. Another nurse brings heated oxygen. Kesha works with the precision of someone who's done this 100 times, though she's never done it before. Her hands are sure and steady. She places warm gel packs around the baby's body, not touching him directly, but close enough to create gentle, radiant heat. We warm him slowly, she explains, her voice focused and calm. 1 degree every 10 minutes. Too fast and his body will go into shock. Too slow and he'll slip away. It has to be perfect. It has to be exactly right. The room falls silent except for the steady beeping of the monitors. Time seems to stretch and compress all at once. Then something changes. The monitor's beep gets stronger. Faster. The heart rate is increasing. Dr. Morgan reads from the screen, her voice filled with shock and wonder. Oxygen levels are rising. Look at the oxygen levels. They're rising. The baby's gray skin starts to turn pink. First his chest. Then his arms. Then his tiny face begins to glow with color again. The color of life, the color of hope. Body temperature 94 degrees. Dr. Chin announces, his voice trembling slightly with something like awe. 95 degrees, he continues. 96 degrees. And then a sound that freezes everyone in place. A sound that makes the entire room stop and hold its breath. A cry. Weak and small, but unmistakably, undeniably, the cry of a baby fighting to live. The tiny baby opens his mouth and cries. It's not a strong cry yet, but it's real. It's alive. It's the most beautiful sound anyone in that room has ever heard. Robert's breath catches. Tears stream down his face, not tears of despair this time, but tears of something breaking open inside him. He reaches out slowly, carefully, and touches his son's tiny hand. The baby's fingers wrap around his father's finger. They hold on. They grip with the strength of life itself. He's doing it, Kesha says, tears streaming down her own face now. Now he's fighting. He's coming back. He's coming back to us. 97 degrees, Dr. Kimball calls out, her voice filled with wonder. 98 degrees, another voice announces. The baby's cries get stronger with each passing moment. His skin turns from pale pink to a healthy, rosy color. His chest rises and falls with strong, steady breaths. The monitors show his vitals climbing, stabilizing, becoming the numbers of a baby who will live. The room erupts. Nurses hug each other, tears streaming down their faces. Dr. Chin wipes his eyes. Dr. Rodriguez stands silently, shaking his head in disbelief. Not disbelief that it worked, but disbelief at what he's witnessed. A miracle. An impossible thing made possible. Robert collapses forward, his forehead touching the warming table. His whole body shakes with sobs. Not sobs of grief this time, but sobs of relief so profound it's almost overwhelming. Thank you, he gasps. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He says it over and over, like a prayer, like a mantra, like the only words that matter in the entire world. Kesha keeps working. She adjusts the baby's position. She checks his responses. She makes sure he stays stable. She doesn't celebrate yet. She doesn't take a moment to breathe. Because in this moment, the baby is still fragile, still vulnerable, still fighting his way back from the edge of death. Only when she is absolutely, completely certain that he is stable and safe does she finally step back. Only then does she allow herself a moment to breathe. The baby, now pink and warm and crying lustily, is alive. He's alive. Sometimes when we think about what it means to save a life, we think about the people with the most credentials, the most experience, the most resources. We think about the doctors in their white coats with their fancy degrees hanging on their walls. We think about hospitals filled with machines and technology that costs millions of dollars. And those things matter. They do. The expertise of those 4 doctors, their years of training and experience, that matters. But sometimes salvation comes from somewhere unexpected. Sometimes, the hands that save a billionaire's son belong to a woman who grew up with nothing. A woman who worked 3 jobs to afford an education. A woman who spent her life savings to help strangers on another continent. A woman who paid attention. Who asked questions. Who listened to knowledge that existed outside of textbooks and protocols. Sometimes, the person who saves you is not the one you expected. Sometimes, hope arrives in the doorway at the exact moment you've given up. Robert Ashford lost his wife that night. That tragedy will stay with him forever. But he also gained something. A son who lived because someone was willing to do the unthinkable. Someone was willing to challenge convention. Someone was willing to believe that knowledge exists in places we don't always look. And Kesha Williams? She became more than just a NICU nurse that night. She became the woman who saved a baby when everyone else said it was impossible. She became a reminder that experience and education and credentials matter, yes. But compassion, curiosity, and the willingness to learn from people different from ourselves, those things matter too. In the end, the baby grew strong. He recovered fully. And Robert Ashford made sure that Kesha Williams was never forgotten. Because sometimes the unthinkable isn't just possible, it's the only thing that matters. Sometimes the most valuable knowledge comes from the least expected places. And sometimes, the person standing in the doorway at your darkest hour is exactly who you need.